All right, welcome back to Fleccas Talks, the podcast, episode 26. Today on the show, new Leah Thomas just dropped. We actually made up with Dan Crenshaw. We think he's a badass now. That hatchet is buried. The LGBTs continue to try to talk to your kids about GAY, SEX. We have a peek into the future with our synthetic beef and male birth control section. We cover the best conspiracies from the Will Smith slap heard around the world. And like we said, we made up with Dan Crenshaw. We really like him. He's our friend. We think he's badass. Find out exactly how that happened right after this intro. It's Fleccas Talks, the podcast, episode 26, ranked the best new podcast of all time.
Because words are just words until action actually starts. And actions speak louder than words, but at the same time, words speak louder than actions because sometimes it's the right thing to do.
Very cool. Fleccas Talks, the podcast, featuring Richard Ratboy. Guys, great news. Like you heard in the intro, Fleccas Talks and Dan Crenshaw have buried the hatchet. We are friends again, and we think Dan Crenshaw is a badass. And to honor Dan Crenshaw, we have released a brand new Dan Crenshaw badass action figure. Check this out today. Do you have a nostalgic sentimentalism about you, but you feel like nothing in our upside-down culture is worth commemorating? Do you like the idea of collectibles but don't see the point of NFTs? Well, the minds behind Fleccas Talks and Bad Monster Toys want to fix that with our new collectible series called Culture Collectibles. This is the first one. It's the badass Dan Crenshaw action figure, and we have one more. Drum roll in post, please. If you like that, you're gonna love this. It's the Hillary Clinton receptacle van. Remember that van that she got stuffed into after fainting at the 9/11 memorial? Well, now you can remember that forever with this collectible. It's definitely not a repurposed ambulance that was keeping her alive for the 2016 election, by the way. Also, something we need to note, the Secret Service pretending everything is normal is sold separately. It's the Hillary Clinton receptacle van. Get these two items today on FleccasToys.com. Own these pieces of cultural history today while supplies last. Get them while you still can. FleccasToys.com. These are the first two in the Culture Collectibles series. There's going to be more dropping soon. Go to FleccasToys.com and get yours today. There's going to be a little bit of a pre-sale going on for about a week or so, and we'll be fulfilling those all throughout April. Get them while you still can. They're $24.99 each, two for $50. There's no discount.
You're not giving them a discount.
No discount. Just get them while you still can. We're going to have a bunch of these. It's very cool. We have Dan Crenshaw, the badass, which is really just a rhino with an eye patch on and a red flag. And he's a Republican.
Red flag.
He's a Republican in name only. And obviously the Hillary Clinton van, absolute favorite. We all know what happened there at the 9/11 memorial that day. Now you can remember that for life. Get it while you still can. Link is in the description.
This is handmade quality shit we're talking about.
Yeah, this is handmade quality stuff. And now we're kind of coming into housekeeping. So housekeeping, if you're audio only, we are not friends with Dan Crenshaw again. Let's just start there. It was a rhino with an eye patch. Definitely not friends with Dan Crenshaw again. Actually, quite the opposite. So housekeeping.
We dug a deeper hole.
We dug a deeper hole and increased the target.
I don't think there's anything
back.
coming back from a rhino action figure with Fleccas Talks on the top, and
yeah,
it's over.
We're gonna see that everywhere. Housekeeping. Richard Ratboy and I finally got that seafood tower we wanted. We went to the place the other day after our podcast came out last week.
Yep.
It was a seafood tower for 6 divided by 2.
So I had 3 units. You had 3 units.
I had 3 units. It was fantastic. If I could go back, I would swap the octopus for more shrimp cocktail, but you can't do it perfectly. And Richard Ratboy, this is actually kind of disgusting and embarrassing.
Okay.
He was doing this thing where he was taking his lobster pieces and he was bringing it over to the drawn melted butter and he was dropping it in. He goes, oops, and he was dropping the pieces of lobster in and then scooping it out and eating like way too much butter. It was very embarrassing.
All right, guys, comment who you think was really doing that. Was it me? Or was it Fleccas? So,
good comeback. Just accuse me of what I accused you of. Moving on.
First.
Hey, we got to get through housekeeping. We've been taking too long on this lately. After I completely try to sewer you, and then, guys, we got to get through housekeeping.
Wrap it
up. We have a reverse show recommendation. First one of these is a reverse show recommendation. Richard Ratboy and I have been watching Is It Cake?
on Netflix, some of the lowest. Remember when we were talking about content for babies?
Yeah.
That's, I think, one of the prime examples.
It's basically a show where they just show a bunch of things and say, is it cake or not? And sometimes it is cake, but there's like no resolution. It doesn't matter. It's
they cut through it and then it's like, it was cake.
Yeah. Who cares? Oh, this one wasn't cake. It was cups. Okay, like there's no resolution, there's no reason. A lot of times it is cake.
It's funny because those types of shows, when they come out on Netflix or whatever crappy streaming platform exists, they come out and you can tell the host of the show got like very minimal instruction. It's just like, good luck, figure it out. I hope there's some magic behind the camera. And they just have no idea what they're doing. And the guy was like cutting the cakes with a giant sword that just didn't work. And
it wasn't even sharp. And then the thing that the cakes were displayed on had like edges, so the sword couldn't even cut through it. Like it was a PA nightmare. The production was just not great. And a lot of times it was or wasn't cake. Doesn't even matter. We don't need to do this.
Which is, it was
funny. We don't need the resolution. Moving on, housekeeping still. You know how growing up the magicians never told their secrets?
Of course.
And I would think, and this is just kind of a realization I had, in the years in the world of social media, which we currently live in, you'd think all the magician's secrets got let out. And I'm sure if I looked, I could find how to do all the magic tricks online. But I would just kind of think that a lot of those tricks would have got spoiled and would have come across my timelines, but it really hasn't.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. So good use of your time.
I just realized that. I'm like, how come with all the social media out there, I'm not seeing magic tricks get spoiled every day? Hey, this is how you do this. Hey, this is the secret compartment for that.
Yeah, when I was growing up, they did have a show like this magician is going rogue and revealing all the secrets. Yeah. It was like primetime on Fox.
Yeah. Last thing of housekeeping, we were in town the other day and we saw a punk rocker guy. He was wearing like skinny jeans, black Chuck Taylors, black ripped shirt, and he had a Ukraine mask.
Did he?
Yeah, he had a Ukraine mask.
Ugh.
So it's like funny because he's punk rock, he's counterculture, but it's like you're wearing the Ukraine mask. You're wearing a mask first, and then a Ukraine mask, and then it's like, oh, your little punk rock outfit is just your little uniform, your little costume.
Yeah, there was no deviation from any of the past 30 years of punk rock. It's just like black jeans, black shirt, bad attitude, support for Ukraine.
Yeah, so it's like the whole punk rock world, that counterculture thing you think exists forever is actually very much the establishment, allegiance to the man.
Yeah, it's Rage Against the Machine requiring the vaccine at their
And
concerts.
Here I am walking down the street wearing like basketball shorts and like a hockey jersey I thrifted in some LA thrift store, and I'm twice the weight of that punk rock kid, and I'm more punk rock than him.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
I think so, yeah. It was a uniform, I think, was the discovery that we made. Like, you can't just show up and have a uniform and be like, I'm unique. It's like you're wearing the same thing as the other guy.
100%.
So
punk rock is dead. And we're moving on.
Just calling it. Punk rock's dead.
And it's been dead. We're punk rock now. Gavin McGinnis will agree with that.
Yep.
Moving on to our cringe of the week section. This is going to be probably the best one yet. My favorite cringe of the week we've ever prepared by a lot. We're going to start with Ron Perlman. This is what he said in response to Ron DeSantis's what they're calling "Don't Say Gay" bill, which obviously he doesn't say.
Yeah.
Good morning, Governor DeSantis. Ron here. Don't say gay. Don't say as the first two words in a sentence spoken by a political leader of a state in the United States of America. Don't say. Don't fucking say, you fucking Nazi pig. Say. First Amendment. Read about it. Then run for office.
So, yeah, Ron Perlman, and this is a real shame.
Kathy Griffin just dropped.
Yeah.
We're getting new versions of everybody this week.
Exactly. And this is a shame because this person needs to be more responsible with their platform. Lots of people look to the actor from Hellboy 2 to determine where their political views are and what they align with.
To Clay from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, I don't even know that one.
Yeah,
but the guy from Hellboy 2 is important to people because people look to him for kind of guidance. And when you have someone from Hellboy 2 who is so reckless with the limited knowledge they have, they obviously didn't read the article. It has something to do with not saying gay. It's about keeping sexual education out of kindergarten through third grade.
K through 3.
And here's the interesting part. And here's what I think maybe a part that we're missing. This could be, maybe it's a red herring it's called, or a straw man. This whole thing could be just like a way to backdoor into what they really wanted. So if you say, oh, we can't say, to teach kindergarten through third graders about LGBT stuff, and everyone fights for it, and then, we can't do it. What does that mean? Fourth grade and on is okay to learn that stuff?
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
That's the implication, right?
So we're fighting, no, K through 3 is too young. Oh, we won. And then they're just kind of like, okay, so we'll start at fourth grade.
Yeah, teachers just waiting for the sawmill, the buzzsaw of fourth grade sex education, and it's all sucking and glucking and butt stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So we think we won, but we're actually, the concession is still a loss because the fourth graders are just going to get clotheslined by this.
When did you learn sex ed? When was your first awkward sex ed conversation? Mine was 7th grade.
I think 6th or 7th grade.
And it was like a condom on a banana type shit, like the sperm goes to the egg, blah, blah, blah. They weren't talking about glucking. They weren't talking about dildos and butt
Boys
stuff.
Town. Yeah.
Boys Town.
All the gay stuff. They weren't, there was none of that.
Boys Town.
There was really none of that. And there were also less LGBT people in general.
Yeah.
Which gets us to our next clip. Paddleboarding.
Ron Perlman, are we not even talking about how Ron Perlman says, don't say gay, Ron? Don't say gay. It's like, you guys said that.
Yeah.
None of us said that. You're arguing with your own version of what you think it is. And so it's just factually wrong, super creepy, weird old guy with fucked up teeth talking right into the camera. This is not a good angle for you, Ron Perlman.
It's so true.
We need to, this guy, he's like new Alyssa Milano, new Kathy Griffin. So he's going to snap soon. There's going to be something darker. He's going to do something worse than just a selfie video.
It's a perfect encapsulation of the times. It's like people who have platforms from being in Hellboy 2 and stupid things that don't matter.
Hellboy 2 is so good, though. I mean, not to minimize the contributions of Hellboy 2.
So they have these platforms. They become like these propped up people. They don't read the bill, but then they use their platforms to kind of regurgitate the cabal's talking points. And it's just like, well, Ron Perlman, he's a smart, successful guy. He's a famous person. He can't be that wrong. And then that assumption is allows for the gray area to exist.
Of course. And he, this is his second time doing it, so I think he's getting good response. He did one for Ted Cruz. Hey, Ted, something like that. It's all just extremely creepy.
He tries to be tough, kind of.
Yeah, he tries to be a tough guy. It's like, dude, you're 70 plus. You're an old man. Relax. Old man with no power, too.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're the 70-year-old president of the United States and you talk a little shit.
Yeah.
When you're just a weak old man who can't even put on the Hellboy hands anymore.
He was Hellboy? Oh, no. I meant, what's the one? Thanos.
No, he wasn't Thanos. He wishes he was Thanos.
He wishes he was Thanos.
So, but this guy sucks. Look forward to more because more content is coming from Ron and it's all going to be humiliating.
Yep. And it's all part of the theme we're seeing, which is why we are going to be playing this next clip. Paddleboarding gay boy teacher?
Got it. That's exactly what I titled it.
Yeah, it's twofold. It really hits hard in my heart professionally and
kindergarten
personally.
Teacher.
Professionally, it truly makes me feel like I am not trusted as a professional. I know my kindergarten standards through and through, and nowhere in our curriculum does it have anything about teaching sexual orientation or sexual identity. So for them to say that's happening, it's kind of crazy. But we should be able to have discussions, and that's what we're encouraged to do in kindergarten. And then personally, because my kids do have questions. They want to know who my partner is in pictures outside of my classroom, and I should be able to speak to that.
So do you worry that you won't even be able to talk about your own personal home life? I mean, I have a child in kindergarten right now. I know exactly that my child has 2 teachers, one of which has a daughter at home and is single. The other is married and has 4 children. I know everything about their lives because my kid tells me.
Absolutely. You are 100% correct. That's what we do as educators. We build relationships with our kids. And in order to build relationships, you talk about your home life. You talk about what you do on the weekends. That's building community. It scares me to death that I am not going to be able to have these conversations with my children because they're going to ask me what I did on the weekend. I don't want to have to hide that my partner and I went paddleboarding this weekend because then they ask, well, what does partner mean, Mr. Bernard?
Just say my buddy.
Yeah. Problem number 1, you notice how the teacher keeps saying my children? for the kids, my children. Obviously, it's not. This actually puts the power back into the hands of the parents because maybe the parents don't want their children to hear about what you and your boyfriend did. You went paddleboarding, a little bit boat trip, a little gay boat trip. It was hot. Your boyfriend was holding you close.
Little Speedo, little salt, drip of sweat down his back.
Drip of sweat. His skin was glistening in the sun. You kind of smell his BO, but you like his stink. We don't need to hear this gay stuff at all.
Like his stink.
Yeah, and it's like, remember in the 90s, I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 1989. So it's like all the teachers I had, I didn't know anything about them. And then you'd learn like little things here and there because they would slip up. Like one time we were there after school and we saw one of the teachers smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, Miss C smokes cigarettes. Like, oh, we didn't know that. And like that was cool. But like you didn't know anything about the teachers' personal lives because they were teachers. Mm-hmm. And their job was to teach. And it was almost like the better teachers kept it more private.
Absolutely.
But now this guy wants to teach kindergartners about him and his boyfriend going on paddleboarding trips. What do you think they did in those trips? Don't make me list it.
Yeah.
Don't make me say. It's horrible.
Glucking.
I keep
Sucking.
thinking.
Fucking.
Oh, man.
No, and so again, this is like kindergarten. And then Ron Perlman's mad at kindergarten through third grade. This guy's a kindergarten teacher. The same class level that brought to you Red or Blue or Nap Time.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like you want to talk about gay stuff or sexual stuff. Just don't bring it up, man. They're 6. They're not going to remember you. They're 5.
Yeah. They're 5, exactly. Like it's more about like babysitting and like wrangling, than it is like, oh, like me and my partner.
It's like kindergarten. You send home art with the kid, and it's like macaroni art that the teacher mostly did.
Yeah,
you know, it's not like the kid was an artist and signed their name and did this.
Yeah, there's no reason to know this stuff, and if you're going to teach the kids stuff, I'd rather teach them normal. Because LGBT isn't normal, it's abnormal. Mm-hmm. So let's just talk in generalizations. There's boys and girls. There's moms and dads. Let's start there.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into we don't need to ball them with the details.
They got to get there first. The mom and dads, like the stuff that actually matters.
That's an interesting point because if you get there first, then you can kind of build off that foundation. But if you get there first and the foundation is, oh, there's moms and dads and dads and moms and girls who are boys and boys who are girls. When you get there, like the foundation doesn't make sense. And how much can you really build on that? But if you start with the foundation of a mom and a dad come together and they have a baby, that's like pretty easy, simple stuff.
Well, that's the whole point. They say we get to them as early as possible. We just throw everything at the wall, and then it's like a big experiment on whether or not this is going to work out well for kids. And we have a part later that we're going to get to that shows the experiment isn't going very great.
It'll get to that right now. The experiment is not going great. A lot of people think like, oh, well, Fleccas, what's the big deal? Actually, no one thinks this that watches that.
Yeah.
But if you were going to say, oh, what's the big deal? Kids need to learn. There's all kinds of things they need to be exposed to. What's the big deal? This next piece that we got from Libs of TikTok is very eye-opening as to how the LGBTQIA plus movement is growing, and it's growing a lot with younger people, meaning when they're exposed to it, they gravitate towards it and start to be represented by it.
Yeah, imagine some kindergartner teacher kept talking about dinosaurs every day. You think the kid would like dinosaurs? Yes.
Exactly.
So this is actually kind of a follow-up from our last week, Cringe of the Week, where we showed you the Austin Independent School District doing the Pride Parade, and we were kind of laughing and pointing out the like, oh, there's the fat lady teacher. She's the one driving these kids to do this. And so these are internal messages from a 4th grade elementary teacher in Austin ISD. She was upset that an entire week dedicated to LGBT still wasn't good enough. So I'm just going to read these messages directly. So I think what happened was the vice principal kind of organized this, got some heat, and then backtracked on it. Mm-hmm. And so this teacher comes out and texts her or emails her, I'm not sure which. It says, I feel that it is inappropriate to call our parade this morning a wellness walk, which is what the vice principal did to like back off the LGBT. Because clearly you saw the video. It was LGBT flags, little masks and all that. They were doing it for a reason. While I understand that wellness walk is something that was previously in motion to promote health and fitness and is something we want to continue, it really takes away from the experience of celebrating Pride to couple the two. The first Pride was a riot. It is not enough to just welcome, love, and celebrate queer folks with an X. Your allyship should always lead you to activism, speaking up and fighting for what is right, even when it feels uncomfortable. We can't choose in and out of our protest spaces. And so it's like that's what she just revealed the master plan too. Your allyship should always lead to activism. It's like they're creating little activists. That's the goal.
And this is where it gets very dark.
She continues, out of the 32 students that I teach, 20 of them are LGBTQIA+ and have come out to me.
Well, there you have it.
I feel that we need to do better for them, to affirm our students. I think it would only be appropriate and right to publicly announce what we had this morning was a pride parade. Our students are aware and paying attention.
So over 50% of that fourth grade teacher students, 20 out of 32, according to these texts, are in the LGBT community.
Which is an insane
It's
metric.
like 5/8.
That doesn't even make sense at all. And so this is fourth grade. So this is what's waiting for the kids in Florida after the third grade churn out.
Yeah.
And so one of the things is, she goes, out of 32 students that I teach, 20 of them are LGBTQIA+, whatever. I feel that we need to do better. It's like, if you have 20 out of 32 that are coming to you and identifying as LGBTQ, your first thought shouldn't be we need to do better. It's, okay, what is happening? We're in trouble.
My first thought would be, we need to investigate this teacher, put her on leave, and then probably get law enforcement involved.
What is she encouraging? What has she said to these kids? We do interviews, extensive forensic interviews with all these kids and figure out exactly what's going on. Because this is like textbook grooming, right? Like, these kids don't, you're LGBTQ fourth grader? You're queer? You're
20 out of 32. So it's clearly being presented as like the cool thing, the fun thing, the counterculture, like get back at your parents thing. And it's actually working. And this idea of like sexualized children, we saw it with the Disney people too, in that little internal meeting they had. The one Disney executive, a lady, was like, I have a trans child and I also have a pansexual child. And like pansexual means like you're sexually attracted to men and women. And it's like,
pansexual child is an oxymoron. It doesn't exist. It's like vegan cat.
Your child is like sexual? Did you hear what you're saying?
And then imagine this frumpy teacher who's like all about allyship and activism and stuff, and some kid comes out as gay or whatever, fake gay for attention. You think she's not going to give him the most attention and praise on earth after that? It's like these little perverse incentive structures where the teacher is basically encouraging you to do it, and we'll give you, we'll celebrate you. We'll have a cupcake day. You know, I'm making that up, but you think she gives less attention to the marginalized ones who need an ally?
Yeah. Not a good time to be a straight little white kid.
Oh, yeah. I like hunting with my dad, and I like going to baseball games. It's like, shut up, Peter. Get in the back. We're doing gay shit. So
we're doing drag.
Yeah.
Put on a dress.
Yeah, we're doing drag syndrome. But so I mean, 20 out of 32, it should be wee like alarm bells, shut down the school, lock the kids in. Like, this is not the they're right time. This isn't the time to be like, we need to listen to the kids. It's like, whoa, this experiment has gone way too far.
And like, that's how far away we are from reality, where the person can say, well, 20 out of 32 of my children are in the LGBTQIA group.
And doesn't bat an eye.
Like, wouldn't that be like a really, like a bad stat?
I need to hide this.
Yeah. You'd be like, 20 of 32 of my kids are in the LGBT. It's like, I think I got to teach them a little different or something. This can't be right.
Am I the problem? No. No, 20 of 32 kids are gay. It's that meme.
So it's like, but the thing is, like, now that there's this totem pole and this culturally enforced totem pole, culturally enforced by the cabal and the globalists and the George Soros types, we're in this situation where LGBT is like a top priority, and if you're a straight white person, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, but these people at the top are now acting in ways that aren't even reasonable for the quote normal people in society.
Yeah.
Like, they're not acting like, we're all equal and now we're finally getting our equal rights. They're taking like more rights and taking more than anyone else ever had, and they're demanding that it be that way under the justification of like past transgressions. So now we're seeing in the next clip a person who was showing their pronouns on their badge. I think it was a nurse, and the nurse said that the patient she was talking to, just read it. The patient she was talking to questioned her pronouns, and then the nurse took it upon herself to miss putting the needle into her vein twice.
Yeah, so
extra pokes.
So she was replying to someone about transphobia and said, my badge has had she, her pronouns for a year. I'm cis, which is like normal. I'm a white, or not white, but I'm a straight normal sex. And I wear it to help my patients and colleagues who fall under the trans umbrella feel a little bit more comfy. In the last few weeks, several cis patients have berated me for it. People being like, you're a girl, you don't need that. You don't need she, her. You're clearly a girl with long hair and boobs and whatever. And then so this nurse chimes in. I had a patient I was doing a blood draw on see my pronoun pin and loudly laugh to the staff. She, her? Well, of course it is. What other pronouns even are there? It? And it's like classic. That's a classic joke. What?
LOL.
Of course. Of course. I missed his vein, so he had to get stuck twice. And it was a Wake Forest medical student, 4th-year medical student, and she has since deleted her account.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they're investigating.
As they should. You can't just do medical mispractice because someone was rude to me for my leftism.
Yeah, and we'll get to this in the Will Smith section about how like violence is now being justified for certain groups.
Yeah.
And there used to be like societal rules and virtues like, all right, like violence is never an appropriate reaction to words.
And this is something that
But that's gone. That's getting played out.
They're laundering that
and
right
they're
now.
laundering that. So now it's like there is a time for violence, and it's like the people who are sacrificing integrity-based things, they're happy to do it because they never operated in that world anyway. They just took advantage of people who were maintaining societal standards with integrity things, and they took advantage of that. Now that they're kind of getting power for the first time, that's like what's getting thrown out. The traditional things, anything that's based in integrity, and it's like now they have a new thing to make their own rules around.
based on emotion.
Based on emotion and who they feel like is oppressed.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a totem pole. It's a totem pole reference. Once Will Smith slapped everybody, they're like, okay, was everybody black? Okay. Assaulted the wife. You know, it's like they're referencing their oppression points while determining if it's right or not. And then again, this is another thing that I always say. This nurse who pricked the guy twice for the she, her pronouns that he laughed at, because obviously it's a laughing matter. She had no problem throwing it out in the world, thinking like, oh, I'm going to get internet points for this. You know, instead of like maybe just telling someone that you did a sick fuck thing and you're twisted and you're abusing patients.
Exactly. Like, we're not there yet. Like we're actually way past it, where it's like getting to the point where people who feel oppressed are now acting violently. We're not there yet. We're way past it because they're acting violently and then sharing it on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
So like the acting violently was like probably a couple summers ago with the George Floyd riots and all that stuff. Like that's where it got like acceptable. And now it's acceptable to the point where, oh, you can brag about it. Like that's how okay with it we are at this point. We didn't just get there. We're very well past.
Exactly. All right, where are we headed next?
All right, now we are on to, is this the cringe of the week still?
We're
keep
still
it.
in here.
We're still in cringe. New Leah Thomas just dropped. English biker named Emily Bridges is now the top woman cyclist. Emily Bridges. And many of the top women cyclists are scared to speak out.
Oh, I've seen this one before.
Yeah, exactly.
The scared to speak out competitors and everyone else is outraged and obviously it's an injustice.
Of course. And then Emily Bridges was like a record-holding male cyclist, so it's not even going to be close.
Previously set a national junior men's record over 25 miles and was selected to join British Cycling Senior Academy in 2019. So a very good
Good cyclist, man cyclist. And now the 25-mile race, that's kind of like the standard race for cycling, he is 2 minutes faster than the best woman. 2 minutes.
Yep.
Which is quite a lot. So bye-bye to women's cycling. It's nice knowing you.
Toodles.
See you later. Lost another one.
Won't come back until you fight, ladies.
And then everyone's saying, oh, but the testosterone levels are low enough to compete, all that stuff. The same thing they said for Leah Thomas.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about Leah Thomas, the situation over there was Leah Thomas's 100-meter freestyle time as William Thomas, before she decided she was a lady, was 47.15 seconds. Now, Leah Thomas, the woman, her best 100-meter time is 47.37 seconds. So it's a difference.
Is that a big difference? Can you tell me the math?
0.22.
Whoa.
0.22 difference.
Wow, that's huge.
Which is that for the audio-only people. So it's basically the same time. And
Can't even snap your fingers that fast.
this biker is going to have the records already day one, and it's just another thing that women are going to... It's just like, hey, don't do women's sports anymore. It's over.
Yeah.
The men ruined it.
Well, I take a different tract, which is fight for your own sports, reclaim it.
Yeah, of course. Reclaim it.
You know, nobody's going to fight for you. We're all chirping. And
it would be amazing if at the starting line for like the Leah Thomas or this biker, if all the women competing just didn't go. So imagine you're in the pool, everyone's there, Ready, set, go, bang, the gun goes off, and then everyone stands in the thing, and only Leah Thomas jumps in. She swims back and forth, gets first place. Congrats. I'm only competing against myself. Well, now you literally are.
Yeah.
That would be the way. Same with the biking. Let him go do the race by himself and be the fastest woman ever, competing against nobody. That's kind of how I hope it would get resolved.
Hire a photographer to make sure they get you standing there while you're at the line, just like standing defiantly.
Yep.
And I guarantee you it'll go viral. You'll be a sensation. Tucker Carlson will call you the next day.
Exactly. So if you are a lady competing against biological men in any sort of sport or event, let us know and we'll arrange a...
We'll literally call and get a high-end photographer to come and get you while you stand there defiantly, not racing.
You'll
or
be a
not
hero. You do it for so many other women, not just yourself. It's a big step. So let us know if you are in that situation.
And so I want to make a point because, again, with this whole big leftist experimentation phase where it's just like, let's let the emotions decide something and then experiment with society for a long time. We've seen what that result gets you in the grade school stuff. It gets you 20 out of 32 kids are LGBTQ or something. I don't know. And so
that's a good point. They always want to. Well, we don't know what's best, so we're gonna test it out.
Exactly.
Now we're starting to see the results of the test.
Exactly. Leah's got some good results. This dude's going to have some great results, I'm guessing. And so the governing body over this race or over this cycling thing said, and while they stand by the rules they have set, which is the get your testosterone below a certain level, and while they stand by the rules they have set, the governing body concedes more scientific research needs to be done in the area. But in the meantime,
Good
this
luck,
dude's
bro.
racing. Yeah.
In the meantime, blow him out, guy.
Blow him out, buddy. You deserved it.
Absolutely.
And so this is just like a testosterone thing too. Like your dick's still there.
Yeah.
So something's still trying to produce testosterone.
Yeah. I would love to interview one of these people. Imagine like a sit down with Leah Thomas or this new biking person.
That'd be huge.
It'd be so insightful.
That'd be great.
All right, moving on. The NFL is now being forced to hire a new coach. Every team has to hire a new offensive coach that is a minority or a woman minority person of color.
All 32 NFL teams will hire a minority offensive assistant coach for the 2022 season, part of a series of policy enhancements announced Monday to address the league's ongoing diversity effort. The coach can be a female or a member of an ethnic or racial minority, according to the policy. This will be paid for from a league-wide fund. So it's basically just the NFL going, hey, everybody, we're going to give you money. Go hire a black guy, a woman, or how about an Asian guy?
Yeah.
How many Asian guys how many Indian guys do you think are going to get hired?
We need an Indian woman in an outfit.
Yeah.
On the sidelines of these games. Is it becoming like a dinner for schmucks situation?
It really is.
Where it's like everyone brings their like out of the box person.
This is my weirdo. Like, this is my one who doesn't fit in. Everybody be nice to Samantha.
Coach Tammy, and it's a trans person
Yeah.
who's very mentally ill.
And so, I mean, I just want to point out that this is an institution, the NFL, engaging in racist hiring practices.
It's institutional racism.
So this would be an example. When everybody goes, oh, institutional racism, this is an example for us, for our side, the anti-white institutional racism. So,
no need to do it for the players.
Yeah, no white cornerbacks are getting hired right now, I'll tell you that much.
That'll be interesting when it bleeds into the game.
Yeah, every team needs one white corner on the roster. So yeah, here's Exhibit A of institutional racism, and it ain't helping the white guys.
Exactly. And it's also interesting, too, because a lot of the concerns with these groups and these like intentional hires, minority hires, a lot of times people will say like the person who gets hired, like, hey, do you feel like people at the office think you were only hired because you're a diversity hire or a minority or a person of color or whatever? And it's like in this situation, how can you pretend it's not?
Yeah. There's no pretending.
They told them and said you have to hire a person of color or a girl or a guy who thinks he's a girl.
So the NFL is removing all doubt from whether or not this person was hired by the color of their skin or their gender. And dude, I've seen coaches, right, who go coach at like a 7A or 5A whatever Texas like powerhouse or something. They coach in Texas, they win some state championships, then they get to TCU or they go somewhere. They work their way up. And then eventually you get an NFL offensive coordinator job or something if you do a good enough job. Where are the women coming from? Where's the pipeline? Like, so you just start as an NFL assistant coordinator or something, and then everything's up from here. It's like the NFL is the end game where people end at.
That's a great point.
And there's no pipeline. It's not like she played on the LA Bruisers, the bikini league, and now she's fucking teaching a 350-pound man how to like hit with his hands and do this. It's like there's no translation. They're going straight to the reward. Like the career, the hard work that you put into a career will get you to the NFL. Maybe it's the hardest career, toughest path ever. You have to be proven correct and proven to be great at every level. And they'll fire you in a year and a half too,
even if you're great. And now it's just like, oh yeah, here's the reward that some people work really hard for. Here it is for you right now because you're dark.
Come on, Deb.
That's scary.
You're a lady.
But it's good. Let these institutions expose themselves and blow themselves out. And like we said before, get away from what they were built on. Mm-hmm. They were built on being the NFL, the Football League of America, hardworking teams. Everyone's got their thing. And now it's just like a charity situation.
The charity handout league.
Handout league. And you can't even hit anymore. And everything's a penalty. And if you trash talk, it's a penalty. And you can't celebrate. The whole thing is just like going south fast.
Didn't they have end racism on their helmets?
Yeah.
And now they're doing racism to hire people.
Yeah.
But it's good because everybody gets a job at the end of this one. It's good racism.
And that's the common theme we're seeing in this episode. It's like there's justifiable action. You're justified in doing bad things to people as long as the people that you're hurting are the oppressed.
And you get a good result.
Yeah.
You know? And that's in your mind.
So you can hurt people as long as you're lifting up the quote oppressed, and you can hurt people as long as you're going against the oppressors.
And I want to say we had a female strength coach in college.
Yeah.
And I liked her.
I liked her too, but
it was a little strange.
It was a little strange, and it was also it was a little bit easy. No, I'm not. She was great. I loved her.
I liked her a lot.
But there would be days where it's like you have a workout on Sunday after a Saturday game, and then I could just be like, yo, Coach S, like I'm a little sore. Like I'm just gonna kind of half-ass this, and she'd be like, okay, go ride the bike or whatever.
I like that.
But then Coach J came, and he was like a little brick house workout guy, and he replaced her, and then he was way harder, way worse, way tougher. He would yell at us, rip us up, and like she wouldn't yell at us. She couldn't be like, you're a fucking pussy, you're soft, you didn't get the weight up. He did.
But that's lifting weights too, and it's like anybody can learn about a body and like lifting weights and how that works for you. What the fuck does a 130-pound girl know about fighting in the trenches? Yeah. You know, what does some random white woman know about playing cornerback?
Yeah, nothing.
Literally nothing.
All she can do is like learn from watching film and whatever, but that's like, so any other coach can do that, and also probably has playing experience.
Exactly.
So we're pretending that they're qualified enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good. Moving on to synthetic beef and male birth control section.
Isn't this depressing that all our institutions are just engaging in absolute trash and we're just sitting here watching and everyone disagrees? It's not like public opinion is like one way where it's like, yeah, the NFL's been, doing this for too long. This is crazy. Pitchforks outside the headquarters. It's just like we're doing it and hope nobody minds.
Yeah, they're just manufacturing a consensus. They're manufacturing a reality. And it's just like without the say of the viewers, which is like it's what the censorship on social media is. It's what the COVID overreach people did. Without the consensus, without the consent of the audiences, they're just making changes and pretending it's because that's where we're at as a society. And like, oh, we're all up to this progressive place in a society when we're really not.
No.
And you're just ruining these things. And eventually there will be a reckoning. It's just not now. These are the dark times that create strong men.
I'd like to see some lawsuits from a white guy who's looking to get an NFL job.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some legal action because obviously this is crazy. Don't we have racial discrimination laws?
Yeah,
So what's the post on what's the job opening? You go on Indeed.com or whatever, Monster.com or whatever website, and it says blacks only or white women in parentheses. Like, you guys are fucking kidding me, right?
That's a good point. Legally, it shouldn't be able to stand on its own.
So I would like to see someone sue, or sue on someone's behalf because that's straight up illegal, dog.
Yeah, it does.
No white men need apply. It's a new no Irish need apply.
Yep, I would love to see a woman ref have to make a call, like a catch in the corner of the end zone, and it's like, what happened? And her just being like, I wasn't look. I didn't see. I didn't see it.
Are you mad?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. Penalty.
Yeah. So feminization of man spaces.
Oh yeah, that's
Discriminating against white men. It's a nice little confluence of events going on here in the NFL.
And it's the totem pole from before, and it's just white straight men are at the bottom of it, and they're just taking away anything that they deem like a white person's space.
Yeah.
Coaching, places and institutions and corporations, and they're just giving it away. And a lot of times we're forfeiting it, so we kind of deserve it. But I don't care about football. I hate football.
I like the NFL, which is the shitty part. This sucks.
Yeah, so I don't mind. It's like we lose it. It'll do us better to lose it and wake people up than it'll be to keep it alive when it was flailing.
Yep.
Moving on, synthetic beef and male birth control.
Two of Bill Gates' pet projects for the future.
Yeah. So Bill Gates said, what was the quote in the headline?
He said, like, rich countries shouldn't. You want me to find the actual quote?
Well, it's just like he said, rich countries should get on like 100% synthetic beef diets.
Yeah.
But it's like, isn't the whole point of being a rich country to like eat ribeyes and whatever you want, whenever you want?
The whole point of being a rich country is like we have fewer people. We've used our resources best. Now we can kind of live with the benefits of this. Like look at Norway or whatever. It's like we got oil, we got this, we managed it well. Everyone's healthy, everyone's rich.
Yeah, tri-tip,
brisket, whatever you got.
boneless tendies.
Yeah.
Like all these meat things are actually our favorite stuff. And now because we did so good and we're at the bottom of the totem pole, according to the WEF people, now we have to start eating synthetic beef. And it's interesting now because like a lot of people are saying no, never do it. But eventually when there's meat shortages and meat's super expensive because that's what they're going to try to do, then some people will be like, well, the synthetic beef's cheap and it tastes the same. And that's kind of what it is. I think it's just planting the seed for the eventual meat shortage that they're going to contrive.
Exacerbate.
Yeah.
They're going to put like Bill Gates and his buddies are going to put their thumb on the scale and be like, okay, let's get switched to synthetic beef pretty quick now.
Yeah, let's control some behaviors.
We should enjoy this fake beef. And then Bill Gates and his buddies are eating bone-in ribeyes, absolute tomahawks cooked to perfection in those broilers that get to 1,000, 1,200 degrees. Mm-hmm. Those fucking, what kind of broilers are those?
We didn't become the best country in the world to stop eating steaks like this.
Yeah, and then it said for Africa and poor countries, like they'll still be on livestock, even though their livestock is less efficient than ours because we do all like the awesome good stuff when it comes to farming, like feeding them a diet that's scientifically engineered, or supplements at least. The water sources are all close and managed. And so Bill Gates goes, so no, I don't think the poorest 80 countries will be eating synthetic meat. That just gets to be the lucky 1%, right? What we fought for to get synthetic meat.
Exactly. And then also there is simultaneously released a male birth control study now, and it's about to get approved, it sounds like.
Well, it's about to be approved for human trials. So they're happy with what they saw in the mice, and now they're looking for some guinea pig humans.
And basically it lowers the sperm counts of the mice to the point where they were not able to get any other mice pregnant.
Yeah, 99% effective.
99% effective. And then after 4 to 6 weeks of not taking the treatment, their sperm count went back to normal.
Return to normal, yep.
Which I don't think is the right thing. Imagine your sperm count goes to 0. Isn't the sperms what keeps us like not viral? What's that word? Virile. Doesn't that put some oomph in your stuff? Isn't the essence of man having all those little things in your balls?
Yeah, and you gotta
and it just drives you. And now if we have it go away, I don't understand. I'm not even going to need the birth control because we're not going to have. They're going to be able to smell that we have no sperms.
You think so?
I think so.
This is like one of those things where the movie is happening and then some beleaguered scientist elbows a vial and something mixes up in the wrong way and goes, oh my God. I would not volunteer for any of this shit. It doesn't look good. I think women's birth control is bad already.
Very bad.
And this is a non-hormonal version for men.
I just don't trust it because it's going to knock you down to zero, and there's going to be
Hope you come back.
Yeah, hope it comes back. You know how the movies are. Bill Gates and these people are responsible for this. The COVID people, the same people that brought you COVID. It's like what are we going to listen to these people now? Oh, trust me, your sperm count will come back. We want you to have kids when you want to have them.
From the people who brought you the opioid epidemic and the ineffective COVID vaccine, bring you male birth control.
The people who have been telling you about like population problems and population control and how there's too many people, bring you male birth control. Don't worry, it'll come back. Yeah, so not for me. I will not be taking that, and I will not be eating synthetic beef.
Yeah, and for those reasons, I'm out.
You can't get gains with synthetic beef. Everyone knows that.
Yep.
Moving on, there was a thing. We're at a cringe of the week by a lot by now, by the way. We're at a cringe of the week. Crypto taxonon. This was a guy. It was posted on Reddit or 4chan. It was posted on 4chan. Ratboy's going to read it, but it's about a crypto guy who's really making it hard for the IRS.
Yeah, this is our hero.
This is our hero.
The time waster 3000. I have a bot running 24/7 buying and selling for zero target profit just to waste IRS manpower and money. I print and send the IRS all the documentation about my trades in paper form to stop them from automizing the process with a computer program. I mix blank pages, double print, ghost print, or mark/write in them just in case they have a way to scan and use some sort of recognition software. That way they have to look at thousands upon thousands of pages one by one and look at random scribblings and drawn dicks while doing their job. It's a whole pallet of papers with trades, so I hire a guy to forklift that shit and send it just on the off chance that having to deal with a pallet is troublesome for them. All the documents are numbered, but I pack everything completely out of order, as the lower numbers always happen to be at the bottom of the pallet, in case the order of the trades is important. If order is important, they now have to deadlift boxes and have them laying around before they can even start checking the numbers. Sorry, there's some typos. My normal trades are also in those pages, so they can't just ignore everything. This costs me thousands of dollars every year. I make sure to send the invoices of how much all the processes cost me on top of the pallet so that whoever is in charge of it knows I'm wasting the equivalent of 2 months of his waging in asinine shit on top of his or her time.
Good. This is what I like to see. This is how it's done.
That's the American mischievous spirit. And it might be fake, might be gay.
It might be fake and gay. It might be illegal.
But here's to hoping that it's real and that guy's out there doing the Lord's work for us, because the IRS is no buens.
No buens, and they are closing in on crypto, and we're scared of that, and we don't want them to do it.
Yep.
But it'll be a while. So good to see stuff like that out there. That's the American mischievous spirit.
Yeah, someone's still stirring the pot out there, guys, so have no fear.
All right, moving on. We are into the based Russia section. Not a huge Russia-Ukraine week. Obviously, the narrative was unhooked when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, so no one's talking about Russia-Ukraine anymore.
Yep.
Will Smith's in the WEF. Was it on purpose? Who knows? We'll get to that. But in the based Russia section, George Soros arrest warrant issued in Russia, and then also China called George Soros like an international terrorist. So at least someone's doing something, and maybe hope they get this guy.
I agree with those takes.
Yeah. Hey, we don't agree with the
guy who
Russia on everything, but
the guy who destabilizes currencies and flushes cash out of weaker nations that he can kind of bully around. What? He's an international criminal? That's frowned upon?
That's weird. So it's weird to keep agreeing with Russia and finding things that we agree with Russia during all this. Also, the Ukrainian military, I guess that might have been the Nazis, the Azov battalion, they were shooting Russian prisoners of war and then letting them bleed out and also torturing them.
Yeah, I saw that. We can't play the video.
We can't, no.
So, but there were videos of multiple Russian soldiers being pulled out of a car, handcuffed, and then shot in the leg. So
yeah,
that's not very Geneva Convention of you guys.
Democrats stand with that, I suppose. Democrats are okay with that, and everyone will be like, "Oh, people are dying. People are dying." Jack Posobiec actually had a really good tweet about that. He said, 500,000 killed in the Ethiopian civil war in the past 16 months. Government using Turkish drones to airstrike refugee camps. No flags and bios for that one because the regime has no financial interest there," which is a great point. Also, speaking of financial interest, like we said before, the narrative was kind of unhooked with the Will Smith Chris Rock slap.
Yeah,
but
derailed.
Completely derailed. We were engaged in Russia-Ukraine every day, and we kind of needed a breath. Or the deep state needed a breath. So they kind of disengaged it with the Will Smith stuff. But what now is happening is Zelensky is kind of coming around to an agreement, but he's mentioning how Ukraine and a lot of Europe needs to go fully green so they're not relying on Russian oil. So now it comes back to like Green New Deal, climate change, need to go green, which is interesting.
No nuclear, though. We don't want you to be actually independent. We just want you to waste your money on stupid green tech like windmills.
That they can launder money through.
Yeah.
And just deep state all over again. The deep state tentacle is active there. So that's very interesting. But the NPCs don't care. People are dying. People are dying in Ukraine. No one actually cares about people dying. They're just Muppets that are wound up again.
A lot of people dying in Yemen, too.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to our Urban Decay section. This is a great Urban Decay. We're going to start off with this this woman, this black woman who's very upset, and she's very upset with how white people walk on the sidewalk and their sidewalk actions. Check this out.
I know that every person of color has been on the receiving end of this, so my video is actually more for white people, actually. This is a serious question, and I would like a serious answer in my comment section or a stitch. Are y'all aware that y'all often take up space with disregard for the people of color around you? If there's any confusion, I can give you guys an example. I'm from New York City. Sometimes a sidewalk is narrow to the point where there's only enough room for two modes of traffic, one going and one coming. But that has never stopped white people from walking side by side and holding hands and expecting you to either stand and wait for them to pass or walk in the street if you need to keep going. Are you guys aware that this is something that you do, or is it something that happens by accident? Because people of color are taught to be aware of how much space they're taking up at all times. So watching you guys take up space without even thinking about it is mind-blowing to a lot of us.
Oh, it is.
Take up space.
Oh, we were taking up too much space. We were being inappropriate on the sidewalk. Our sidewalk etiquette isn't correct.
That's crazy. Taking up space. It's like, you don't think I've ever dealt with somebody holding hands on the sidewalk too?
Yeah.
You think this is an exclusively black problem?
Yeah, it's the white privilege problem. So let's take a look, now that we're in the Urban Decay section, of some other sidewalk behavior.
Yeah, let's see who's taking up space in, let's say, Miami's sidewalk
Miami's
during spring break.
Let's see who's got their titties out in a fight on Miami's spring break.
Oh, man. These people are taking up a lot of space in that three-person fight. Taking up a lot of space stomping out.
Ooh.
Oh, titties are out, boobs are out.
Absolute street fight in Miami. This is a real Spirit Airlines behavior right here.
This is some major Spirit Airlines shit. Everyone's titties are out. Everyone's fighting. Everyone's fat. But yeah, the white couple holding hands on the sidewalk is the epidemic of America.
The white couple holding hands is the real problem here. This is maybe one of them had alopecia and they got made fun of.
That makes sense.
That could be it.
That would make sense. So yeah, no, Spirit Airlines behavior everywhere I look. No.
Lots of Spirit Airlines behavior, and we're not allowed to say anything because the worst injustice that is out there is white people holding hands, which just means she doesn't like white couples, which means she doesn't like white people in love, which means she just doesn't like white people.
Yeah, this is all like, this is your brain on critical race theory. Who's a white person? This girl just saw some people holding hands. She obviously has no significant other who really loves her and likes her that much. So she got a little jealous, got a little mad, made it a race thing.
But lucky for her, the people of her race, the black people, are on their best behavior all the time.
Head held high.
So it's not a glass house situation. Her house is in order, and now she's ready to throw some rocks.
Yep.
So let's move on to old man gets drop kicked.
So just to preface this is an 84-year-old man in Daly City, which is right next to San Francisco. And this is the second time it's happened to him.
And for the record, he's not on the sidewalk.
Yeah, he's in his front yard.
But these, I think it's a black person, comes from the sidewalk, runs, and, drop kicks him in the back. So there's some sidewalk behavior I'm not happy about. I don't come out and say, hey, black people, you need to stop hitting Asian ladies with the bat. You need to stop drop kicking old people and pushing old ladies down the subway stairs. I don't do that.
White people are taught that when you get drop kicked in the back by a random black person, that's not a good use of space. That's our position on the matter. You know, randomly assaulting people, you're taking up too much space.
Doing yard work, that's like a white privilege thing. Why? You have to keep your house nice because you live in a nice neighborhood.
Wow, you own a house?
Privilege. Yeah, you want to keep it in line. You're disciplined. You're an old man who wants to do his yard work even though he's 84. That's not what we do anymore.
Nope.
Drop kicked. Moving on. NYC Brick and
So
Cab.
again, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Before you move on. So, you know, we have people everywhere talking on TikTok, white people taking up space, white people doing bad shit. They've been demonizing the white man for years at this point now. And then we see the result of it. What's the purpose of hitting an 84-year-old man? What do you think it could be? I think it has to be a racially driven,
deranged person.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are we doing here? Again, another part of the big experiment, just dehumanizing a race and like, well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. White people have had a pretty good run.
Yeah, exactly. And moving on, woman and child robbed in lobby. So this is a woman and her young child coming down the stairs.
Leaving her own apartment.
Into the lobby, which should usually be secured. Mm-hmm. And then immediately you're ran up on, gun pointed at you, and to get robbed. This is in New York City?
Yeah, New York City.
Yeah, well, at least your one-bedroom apartment's still $3,000 a month.
Yeah. Oh, God. At least these guys will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and locked up probably for a long time.
And who knows? She may have mocked their alopecia or something.
It always comes down to
She could have
alopecia.
made a joke about their bald heads.
Yep. On site, as soon as she saw them in the lobby with her 4-year-old.
All right, moving on. NYC Brick and Cab.
Yeah, let's go outside. This is what I imagine if this woman had ever made it out of her apartment, this is what she would have seen on the street.
Yep. Here she comes. She's got a cinder block.
I wonder if this girl's going to take up any space on the sidewalk.
Well, she's actually in the street, which maybe is more considerate. Maybe she's in the street because there's too many white people on the sidewalks holding hands. And she's in the street busting windows with the thing, and then she's jumping in.
What is she grabbing? Steals something after cinder blocking the car, and she's out. Back on the sidewalk, taking up a very little amount of space. Very respectful of her.
I hope no white couples are holding hands in her way.
Yeah. Because that's the real crime in America.
That's the problem we have to figure out. And then moving on to our final piece of Urban Decay. Before we get to the Will Smith section, the last piece of Urban Decay, Spring Break 40-person robbery. This is more Spirit Airlines behavior.
40 kids, all in tank tops, weird backpacks, like doing their flip-flops in style.
Just absolutely emptying a store.
Come in just to fuck up a Walmart for fun. They're taking up a lot of space.
But this is their time. They've been oppressed.
Mm-hmm. They've been oppressed. So this is all fair stuff.
This is all fair stuff. And that's the Urban Decay section. So, hey, what did we learn today? White folks, you really got to start tightening up with how you act in the cities, especially on the sidewalks. You really need to be cognizant of how you carry yourself and the people around you, because you might be doing things that the people around you don't appreciate, and it makes them live in an oppressed way. And it's not fair.
Shame on you.
Stop drop kicking people in the... Oh, no, that wasn't us.
Oh, that was that wasn't other guy.
That wasn't us.
Okay.
Moving on, Urban Decay is done. That was a good Urban Decay section. We're getting to the Will Smith action. Obviously, everyone's already covered the Will Smith stuff, so we're going to offer you like a nuanced view, our angle, pretty much.
We have to do it. It was a viral moment. We had to get on the record our takes.
Exactly. So in the beginning, obviously, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, but in the beginning of the whole interaction, Chris Rock made a comment. Will Smith was laughing. It was a comment about Jada's hair. G.I. Jane comment. Not even a big deal.
Small joke.
And then what I think did it was Chris Rock said, G.I. Jane joke, come on, that was a nice one.
Yeah.
Meaning I could have roasted you way harder.
Yeah.
Because your wife had sex with your child's friends, your son's friend.
Yeah.
So I could have really roasted you, but I didn't. And then, so it's then Will Smith goes up, slaps Chris Rock, does it for the integrity of his wife, even though there's no integrity there because she slept with the son's friend. So it's a little ironic.
They were laughing about how shitty of a marriage they had in an interview a month or two ago. Not a month or two, a year ago when this cheating all came out.
Which I think there's we'll get into the conspiracies a little bit, but we can start with that one. I think basically Jada is a witch and they leveled up. And Will Smith is in the witch world too. And basically they were all right, we're going to humiliate you, Will Smith. Jada's going to literally cuck you. We're going to humiliate you, but we're going to level both of you up in the cabal.
You're going to have more power than you ever imagined.
You've already sacrificed your son. We're going to level you up in the cabal. And then maybe at this new cabal level that Jada's at, you don't make jokes at that person. It's like a coming for Beyonce.
Exactly.
Or coming for Kim Kardashian or something. Like there's certain witches you can't cross anymore when they get to a certain level.
They're elevating her so she's beyond reproach.
And I was thinking, can you imagine, this is like a peek behind the curtain. Imagine if Kanye was the one who ran down on stage and slapped Pete Davidson, and Pete Davidson was the comedian.
Yeah.
Kanye would be locked up. He'd
have an injection in his arm.
Exactly. He'd be committed to some padded room somewhere. He'd be back on his medication. It would be this whole thing. So it's kind of like a peek behind the curtain. It's like, it's not necessarily race, where it can be at times, but it's kind of like a shallow label. Like if Mel Gibson ran down and slapped Chris Rock, they would go for him. They would arrest him because he's a political opponent.
Oh, yeah.
But it isn't necessarily about race. That's just like the shallow labels they use when they need it. This is actually about people who are pledging their allegiance to the cabal and people who are not. So Will Smith, as a black man going on stage, slapping Chris Rock, it's allowed because Will Smith has pledged his allegiance to the cabal, and now they're going to make excuses for him. And the social trend that they're kind of waving in right now is violence is okay if it's emotionally justified.
Exactly, which is the exact opposite of 100 years of law that we had, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, words don't leap to physical violence.
Exactly. And then listen to this woman's take. She posted on social media basically about how white people shouldn't be in this conversation at all.
At the Oscars is not something white people need to speak on right away. There is so much nuance and complexity and layers that you will not be able to understand through your white experience without education and listening to specifically black women, which we all know many people don't. So when you share your perspective or your education on what you perceive to have happened last night, it's coming through your white lens, which has you on a place of moral high ground, lacks understanding of black trauma, has such an emphasis on this binary of who is good or who is bad, centers violence, only actually continues to minimize black women and their pain, and most annoyingly, continues to center yourself on shit that really just is not your business. So just take some time, take a minute. You don't have to respond right away. Really try and look at the entire situation before you speak on the shiny, easy grab. Because what you fail to see through your white lens was the actual violence occurring. The continued violence that is ableism and that is misogynoir. The continued violence that is white
misogynoir. So the actual violence occurring was Will Smith slapping Chris Rock.
Yeah.
But as a white person, that's not a fair assessment because I'm looking at it through the lens of a white person from my point of view. Mm-hmm. So what she's saying is the white person status quo point of view is violence is never an appropriate response to words. While now the black understanding, the black point of view and the nuances there are, well, sometimes you might need to use violence because words are violence and people can be offended. And if they're oppressed and offended, there could be a time when violence is an appropriate response, which is not true.
Yeah.
And if you're calling it the white point of view is violence is never appropriate response to words, that's what I have, and that's correct.
That's the legal and regular point of view.
But that's just a white thing, I guess, now.
Yeah, apparently. So again, this is like a gray area situation where they want to make it as gray as possible so you don't have a position on it, you know? Oh, but black people's trauma. Yeah, black people's trauma was really at hand when Will Smith ran up and slapped him. Like, it's such a joke. Again, they're muddying the waters. They're making it a gray area so that you can't have a voice. But, you know, the girl who's talking about white people holding hands, she's got a voice on whatever funny issue that comes up.
Exactly. And this is actually, like we said before, those who are oppressed are allowed to act differently and have a different set of rules than those who are deemed the oppressors. And it's actually spreading quick. Nick DiPaolo, a comedian, he posted a picture of a black eye he got just a few, I think it was yesterday.
Okay.
And it says, I know a little bit about being the victim of violence because of making a joke. This is how some on the left react to a joke or material they don't like. They're shrill, angry scum for the most part. I was sucker punched after a show by the daughter of a guy who intentionally goaded me into a conversation so his daughter could crack me while I was looking at him.
Can I see it?
And that's the black eye.
Jeez.
So now
sucker punched. So
now people are getting sucker punched.
Yeah.
And the comedians, the people who are making, kind of have a free pass usually and are able to make jokes about underlying truths in society, now they're kind of fair game.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because that's basically the people who would stop what's coming with like all these crazy globalist things, the COVID stuff, the sexualizing the kids, all these things. It's like that's who the comedians are, the ones that do a good job of like stopping and pushing back on that.
Yeah.
But now they're basically saying it's open season for comedians or for people saying things you don't like or things that you think are offensive or people that are reinforcing the oppressor society we're living in.
Okay, let's imagine a situation.
Okay.
I'm at a comedy club, or actually, I'm anywhere. I say the N-word 50 times. Mm-hmm. Can someone punch me?
Of course, no.
Yeah.
But right now in society,
Yeah.
they go, well, he did say it.
He was asking for it.
I
He
can
was saying the bad word.
I can understand why people would get upset.
Yeah. So,
And that's the problem.
and that's the extreme example, but the reality is if you punch someone, you're in trouble. And if I get punched, I'm pressing charges.
Yeah.
And I'm also swinging back. And you don't want me to swing back.
Yeah. We're some comedians that are saying things that you don't like. Come sucker punch us. We're ready for it.
Come sucker punch up. Hey, DeSantis, sign that constitutional carry real quick.
Yeah. So oh, man. And then also there's a poll, New York Post poll. Majority of people are on Will Smith's side.
What the fuck are we talking about here?
So it's like the people up until now have been primed, and it's just like now we're doing a litmus test. I'm like, all right, where are we at? 5-10 years ago, 1 out of 10 might say you could punch people back if they use words you don't like. Now it's probably a majority.
Well, I think this is a gaslighting situation too, where I don't even believe these numbers. What are people voting on? Where are they going?
Yeah, exactly.
Did they ask the Will Smith fan club this question or what?
Exactly.
Chris Rock handled it like a pro. He's a G. Will Smith's a fucking loser.
Yeah, Will Smith's
who
like
cried.
He's a manic loser.
He got cucked. He went manic, and he slapped somebody at an award show. He should face severe consequences.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to be a man anymore. Jada owns him, took his manhood. Now he's acting out, and now he thinks he has to defend his wife to show he's a man again, which just shows he's actually out of control. And if you want to ever say toxic masculinity, that would be toxic masculinity. A man who is not centered in being a man who is like been deprived of his manhood because his wife took it and like humiliated him on the public stage.
It's not off principles. It's not off principles of not insulting his wife. It's off emotions of like, what does this mean for me and how do I look?
Yeah.
You know, it was like an emotional response. Total Muppet shit, and then he cries later.
And everyone has been primed for this because of COVID dehumanization. Mm-hmm. It's, you're kind of finding the same opponents, the people who were against the vax. It's like the vaccinated were okay with violence against the unvaccinated.
Yeah, shouting at wrestling someone who's not wearing a mask in a Walmart. Like they love
exactly.
that.
People who are deemed transphobic and hate trans people, it's like, it's okay to punch them. It's okay to punch a Nazi.
Yeah, punch a Nazi, and then everybody's a Nazi.
Exactly.
Except for the Nazis in Ukraine. Those guys are just a battalion.
Exactly. So it's like everyone's kind of primed for this next step. And then when you see it happen on a global stage like the Oscars, it becomes very interesting. And I asked my audience what they think. I said, was it a publicity stunt and Chris Rock was in on it? 41% said yes. And then the other option was, is Will Smith a manic, Muppet, satanic person being pathetic? 59% said that. So the majority of our audience...
It wasn't really an A-B poll. It wasn't exactly a fair poll.
It just was Chris Rock in on it. Most people think he wasn't, and they think it was Will Smith just being a manic, satanic puppet. So for Will Smith doing this, there's like some explanations out there. Some people are just saying he's a manic Muppet. That's what we said. There's also a conspiracy theory, that Scientology had a role to play in this, and that Scientologists use slapping as a way to like demand respect.
Yeah, if a subordinate gets out of line, you can just kind of do this.
You can slap him in the face, and if you don't, you're actually as a Scientologist obligated in some way. And if you don't slap them, another higher level Scientologist will slap you.
Yeah.
And Jada and Will Smith do have ties to Scientology. They invested in, what was it called? The New Village School in California.
Yeah. I think they dabbled in Scientology for a while and then kind of like pushed away from it and didn't want to be recognized.
And everyone's now saying, oh no, they're out of Scientology now.
Okay. Yeah. What's she on to now?
Yeah, you know how easy it is.
What's the next step after Scientology?
Yeah, I'm sure they're out of Scientology on good terms. You know how easy it is to do that.
Yeah, you know how easy it is to leave Scientology? Ask Leah Remini.
And then another conspiracy is that Jada Smith doesn't have alopecia.
Interesting. I didn't hear that one.
And we'll cover that in Bonus Land.
Okay.
We're going to kind of go into that in Bonus Land. We found like a doctor who was talking about alopecia, what it looks like, and then the scar or like the mark on Jada's head that she pointed to and said, oh, here's my alopecia. And he was saying it doesn't look like what she said it was. We'll cover that in Bonus Land today.
Yeah, we don't want to go too crazy on the Will Smith stuff. We know it's old. We know
it's old. We just want to get on the record. Those are our views about it. And basically, the overarching theme, which we've seen in this episode, we've also seen, unfortunately, in like over the last few years, is there's this new idea that violence can be justified if it's against the bad guys. And that's what we're seeing a lot of now, and it's obviously not good. And it's our society was built on morals and virtues that everyone agreed with. And now these people who have no morals and have no virtues, who are fine with sexualizing and murdering the children and fine with forcing people to get vaccines and fine with dehumanizing their political opponents, now they're kind of rising to power and realizing, oh, the fact that society is built on these rules and these morals as a foundation is actually the status quo's weakness. That's like their ability to sneak in and change things because they don't follow those same rules. So they're going to use it against us, unfortunately. And I think it's going to get uglier. There's going to be a lot more violence, and there's a lot more people being let go, and a lot more explanations for it. Oh, he did get punched, or he did get pushed down the stairs, or he did get killed. What was it for? Oh, well, he did say some things, or there was a confrontation. What happened before? All these ways of thinking about it are now mainstream and very toxic.
Yeah. That kid was oppressed. That's why he was playing the knockout game with a 74-year-old white man.
Yeah. What does Donald Trump have to do with it? Could be Donald Trump's fault.
Yeah.
Moving on. Let's not get depressed about it. Let's move on to our uplifting gold section. Our first video in Uplifting Gold is Girl Kid Wrestler. There's a girl wrestler. They're kids. They're like under 10 years old, it looks like.
Yep.
And she's great, and she's wrestling this kid. There's your proof, trans people.
Pins him.
Pins him. There you go, trans people. There's your proof. Women and men are equal when you're 45 pounds.
Yep.
When you're in the 60-pound weight class, boys and girls are pretty much equal. There's really no upside to this if you're a wrestler.
Poor kid.
Do you ever have to wrestle a girl or go against a girl in anything?
We played a girl in football once, and it's actually a great story because I was in 8th grade, and we played a girl in football, and the refs, I was a captain for like the team, and we went out there, and the refs said, hey, there's a girl on the team. Let's not target them. Like, let's take it easy on them. We got back to the sideline, and my coach said, that's bullshit. We're going at everybody the same.
Yeah.
And so that was a funny anecdote, but
yeah,
no, treat them no differently. Blew them out. We destroyed them. The girl was like a fat nose tackle. We rooted her out every time.
As you should. It's equal treatment. Moving on, last clip of Uplifting Gold. Not much Uplifting Gold this week. We don't deserve it.
Yeah. We want you to focus on the decay and the fake world experimentation going on around
We want
you.
a bad taste in your mouth until next week.
So this is Senegal fans doing whatever it takes to make sure Mo Salah and all of Egypt, this guy's on the Egypt soccer team, miss their penalty kicks so that Senegal can secure a World Cup bid because the World Cup's coming up in
So this guy's trying to take a kick. He's having like a moment. He has a free kick, and everyone is putting laser pointers on his face and body, trying to distract him. It's good to see the fighting spirit out there still alive. It's good to
Look at how many are on the ground.
It's good to see people trying to win no matter what it takes, no matter what the cost. It's good to see that fighting spirit still exists. I wish people cared about stuff that was more important, not football matches.
I'd be pretty fucking pissed if I was an Egypt fan and just saw this going on. But
yep, exactly.
Hilarious.
All right. Well, that's another Fleccas Talks in the books. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. FleccasToys.com for those very cool collectibles. ShopFleccas.com for the best merch in the game. We still have Become Unpinnable, Crenshaw Sucks, The Clintons, Trader Joe's, as well as many more. Get those while you still can. Use code Jerry for 15% off. We also have a bonus land, extra 20 minutes of bonus land coming right after this outro. And last but not least, we have Fleccas Clips channel. Subscribe to that. Make sure you subscribe to Fleccas Clips and also the newsletter. The link's in the description for all these things. Make sure you're up to date on all the Fleccas Talks, the podcast content that's coming out. Get updates. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you at the next one.